I love that lady. She's like recording in progress. Like we didn't know. I just hit record like I didn't know. All right, everybody. Okay, so we have a lovely story to tell. Because my laptop broke today. So, and I had this scheduled with Missy, and I'm just like, you know what? I screw it. You're a startup founder, you just got to pivot anyway. So we're just gonna host it like
Yeah.
this. And y'all, I don't care if it looks bad on my end. It just is what it is. So we're gonna have the conversation. I actually had one with I don't know why I'm pointing at you. I actually had one with Jeremy Brandt, and I was sicker than a dog. And I'm like, you know what? I have it scheduled. We're just gonna host it. So I look like
You are
death.
committed.
I am committed. I'm like, I look like death. I'm like, dude, I don't feel good, but we're having this anyway. And it was actually a really fun conversation. He was like on
Yeah.
Shark Tank and stuff. So, all right,
Yeah.
I digress.
Awesome.
I squirrel, y'all. Woo, squirrel. Uh, so this is the Prop Tech Genius Show, and our next genius is Missy Wood. Hey, hey, another girl in the house.
That's right.
Right,
Thank you
exactly.
so
So,
much for having me. This is
oh,
such an honor and it's exciting. This is my second ever podcast.
oh,
So,
really? Okay. Well,
yeah.
then we're gonna make it awesome, man. This is going to be
Yeah.
really, really cool. This is so good. All right. So we're going to talk today a little bit about Missy and her journey and where she's at. And, we'll do the little girl power thing because, it's a little different for us startup founders being girls.
hmm
And talk
hmm
about what you're trying to solve and why you thought it was a groovy thing to do. And we all have our visions of what we want to change the world. We all do. As a startup founder, we're a little cray
hmm
cray. We all want to change the world in some way, and we think we can change it. And so, let's just talk. We'll talk through that and whatever else we're going to talk about, who knows. And we'll get there, and it'll be a cool conversation because these always are. They're just cool
Yeah.
conversations between cool people. So I will let you take it away, girlfriend, and you can just tell everybody who you are, what you do, all that fun stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So, yes, I'm Missy Wood, founder, CEO of Formus, a technology company dedicated to solving barriers in the home renovation markets. And so I know that's a very, very big idea. I have a interesting story about when I first presented this idea to uh, a big architect in the industry. He we were having dinner, and my advisor had put together an advisory dinner to so that I can tell this idea to some big players in the design build industry. And this architect, when I first came up with, told him my idea of streamlining this process from the beginning to the end, he yelled out at the waiter and said, "Waiter, we're going to need a couple of bottle wines to get through this night," because he thought I was ridiculous to try to accomplish this. And then he went on to this whole one man show about how if you want to change the color of your door, how you have to get it approved from your neighbor to the White House and back. And so he was very animated and passionate about why this industry is so fragmented. And yes, for a startup founder, female, first time starting a big venture like this, it was very intimidating. But at the same time, it was also very validating that this is a problem that needs to be solved. And so I'm dedicated to solving it. And so
Awesome.
we yeah, so we've been I've been researching this industry for the last few years. I really started Formus about 2 years ago. I was awarded a grant through the National Science Foundation to research the market to really understand where those common barriers are that we're trying to solve. And I did that, and then we've spent the last couple of years doing extensive research into those barriers to understand why they exist, what technology is out there that is trying to solve these barriers, and why the industry is still so fragmented. So that's where we're at. We've been doing research and development of proof of concepts and testing in the market. And in the
Mm-hmm.
last month, it's going on 2 months now, we kind of had our aha moment, which is really exciting, so that we can
That's
know
cool.
exactly where we put all of our effort in development, because it is a big idea, and we're not trying to boil the ocean. Like, we want to really start where we feel what we're bringing to the table provides the most value at this point. And we had that aha moment working with a homeowner and some partner trade professionals about a month and a half ago, and that is in the very early stages of a home renovation of this home renovation project that we were working on. We had collected all this relevant data, educated the homeowner in the process of collecting that data, and helping the homeowner really think through what it is they want, what are their expectations. We were making sure that their expectations were realistic and really prepping them to jump into to be better prepared to jump into the process with the trade professionals. And so we spent a good amount of time doing that with them manually. Like we were just, we had collected their information through a form, and then our interior designer, our partner in the interior designer, then had a conversation with both the husband and wife, and just really asked them a lot of questions, and like I said, educated them. And by the time the project got to the architect to draw up the plans, she had everything that she possibly needed. This architect is in California. The homeowners are in Texas, and so she had met them. She hasn't been to their house, but we had provided all this data and all the information that the architect could possibly need. And long story short, she had one meeting with the homeowner, and then presented, like, just to confirm a few things, and then presented 5 designs, and one blew their mind. They made a decision on that call to go with that design, and they haven't made a single change to it, which is kind of unheard of in this industry, because there's usually weeks of going back and forth. And this architect, who's a pretty well-established architect in California, was like, this never happens. This is amazing. And so that was our aha moment of really focusing on that collection of data at the very early stages to make sure homeowners are better suited for and ready to make sure they are ready to engage with the trade professionals. So we have been focusing on that piece of our product, which it's called SADI, our Spatial Artificial Design Intelligence Engine, that will collect that data online, educate the homeowner through the design build knowledge base that we train her on, and be able to then provide that data to this trade professionals to then be ready to engage with the homeowner. So that's where we're at.
Wow, that is so cool. Good for you. Yay. Good for you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting because like I said, we've been researching this industry, and it's although the homeowners are the primary users of our platform, of all the proof of concepts that we've developed, the buyers are the trade professionals. For this to be of value to the homeowner, the trade professionals need to be using it, the GCs, the architects, the interior designers. And so through our proof of concepts, been interesting when we've showcased them, the professionals will look at it as like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I can see that this is the future, but it's a nice to have. We don't really need this, and that was the very beginning stages when we were really focusing on an immersive VR, like collaborative spaces where the proof of concepts that we were showcasing. But the homeowners were saying, I need this now. I'm designing my kitchen. I want this. And so it's very interesting. The homeowners really want it, but the trade professionals were kind of like, yeah, it's nice to have. It's not a need to have. There's a small, percentage of the construction industry, design build industry, that saw value and that have, really have. I mean, we do have quite a bit of pending letter of intents of professionals that, want to use the VR portion of the platform, but it's a small segment of the industry because this is the industry most resistant to new technology. And so it's been really great to see the transition of interest from over the last month and a half or so of the trade professionals we've introduced SADI. Now they're saying, oh my gosh, I need this like now. In fact, I talked to a GC last week, had heard about it, and he he kind of was seemed like he was real frustrated with me when I told him it was still in development. It's not available. He's like, "But I need this now." I'm sorry. We don't have it ready yet. He's like, "Okay, well just put me on the list. Let me know when it's ready." So that's
That's
really
funny.
exciting to see like that we have kind of found our sweet spot for the trade professionals to be excited to adopt what we're doing. So,
It's called product market fit, girly, and you
yep,
found it.
yep,
Yeah,
yep,
exactly. That's
yeah. Mhm.
awesome. Very, very cool. So what was it like getting the NSF grant? Like how long did that take? Like that's like I haven't heard of a prop tech company getting one yet. So that's cool. That's really
Well, it was
cool.
a mini grant. It was a very small. I was part of a I-Corps cohort
Mm.
through Texas State University. So I have worked with some mentors through the Small Business Association, SBA, think, or
Mm.
SBDC, the Small Business
Mhm.
Development Center. I my son actually I can do a little plug on my son real quick. When he
Yeah,
was
that's right.
10, he started a comic book business with his best friends, and they were pretty serious. I mean, they were making comic books, stapling them, and selling them. And so they did it for like a year. So I told him, I said, "Hey, if you guys are serious about this, I'm happy to help, support and build a little business out of this." So, and they thought it would be fun. So we went through the whole process of creating filing with the state and creating a company. And so the Small Business Development Center loved this, and we had no meeting with them. So that was my first time really engaging with the SBDC, and it kind of evolved into me starting to use them for my own company. And so just through those relationships, I was invited
Mhm.
to be a part of the I-Corps cohort. That was, I think it was their last one. I don't know that they're doing them anymore, but where they were offering mini grants for
Oh,
research and development. So
oh, that's
I went to
cool.
that and presented and got the grant. So it was great because we've been bootstrapping for this whole time. We
Oh
still
yeah.
are. So it was
Yeah.
very nice to have.
For sure. I would love free money. How can I get free
Yes.
money? Yeah, I
Yes.
know. That would be great. No,
Uh-huh.
that's awesome. Yeah, for sure. I think I reached out to them too, but they must have not been doing the program after when I reached out. But that's all right. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So, talk about the pivot you went through, like, or your aha movement, or like,
Hmm.
because yeah, I get it too. Wait, we pivoted. I was
Hmm.
like, you come out and you're like, I know this is a problem. I just don't know where are we fitting in the solution for the problem, right? And so you go through
Hmm.
that, and yeah, that's all that journey, and you go and you kind of, and then like that for us, it was like, oh, because we were going this way, and I was like, no, 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 there's enough people doing that. Like, where are we
Hmm.
really truly going to be provide the most value? So for you, how did you find it? Like, what happened? Is it was just because you
Well,
were in the middle of the project and went, "Oh, yeah, there it is." Like, is it just came
well,
at you?
I wouldn't say that we haven't pivoted what we're building as far as the mission and the big picture. We just pivoted more of our focus on development
Yeah.
because um, we have reached a point where we have to start fundraising to develop, and so we want to make sure that where we're spending our resources is the right, you know, the part of development that is best for using those resources. And so that was why because I started planning to fundraise at the beginning of the year, but then decided, you know what, let's walk through an actual home renovation, a couple, and go through the process manually. Well, I say manually. There are parts of the product that we've built out, like our proof of concepts. Like I said, like basically, it's a collaborative space, a VR, or web VR, or you put the headset on, space for homeowners to be able to see their product or see their space, different spaces, walk through them, see the different select design, like product selections in real time, the cost associated with it, and just help them be able to visualize and understand how their selections impact the overall
Mhm.
budget of the project. And so that's where we started, which was great. It was, huge value to the homeowner. Um, but then again, we've, like I said, we've got to figure out what parts of this is really of value to the trade professionals to get them to adopt it, and start using it as well. And so we went through, as we were going through the project with the homeowner, we realized that, that's when we had that aha moment of really the value. So the most value, so that to start, that we're bringing to these trade professionals is bringing vetted, educated homeowners to the table, to
Mm-hmm.
ready to engage, and that is going to make for a more efficient process. Just that alone, throughout the end, now the homeowners
Yeah.
has better set realistic, or has more realistic expectations. They are in a better position to make more informed decisions going down the road. Like, for example, this homeowner, he is a retired chef from San Francisco. Well, he's from Michigan, but lived in France and San Francisco, and then he's retired here. His wife is, very into feng shui, so they both had very strong opinions about what they want for this kid. It's a kitchen renovation. And so this is important information to know to start with, and to make
Oh
sure that
yeah.
as they're designing, they, come up with, we help them come up with something that will be a happy place for both of them. And so so we collected that data, and then, the 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 husband had said, "Oh, I used to flip homes with my brother when I was younger in Michigan. I don't really, I'm planning to do a lot of the work myself. Don't really need an architect." And so we're like, "Well, you're planning on pretty much gutting and doing some structural changes, right? You'll need to get this approved by HOA and city and all that." So long story short, we ended up talking him into using an architect, helping him understand how that's going to save him time and eliminate risks down the road, if he went with a professional that can help draw up the plans. And so that was a big win for us, because that's part of it too, is to really help homeowners, understand, how doing it yourself can end up costing you more money and problems down the road. I mean, if you really don't
Oh
know
yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
And this guy's from Michigan. We told him, said homes in Texas are built very differently than homes in Michigan. So are you sure? So that was another kind of aha moment for us too, where we also saw the value in, which will be Sadie helping homeowners understand the importance of using, architects and designers. And so that's another, value to those trade professionals, that we're basically selling them as well, their services. So yeah, so that's what we're focusing on right now. We still are building out the collaborative space. So when Sadie collects all that information, we have three tiers to our product. One is Sadie Basic, which is what we're focused on right now, and that's collecting data, um, which is the homeowner's profile, who they are, kind of digging into, their profile, their project plan, and then educating them in the process. And then it creates a report for the trade professionals to engage with, to bid or start the project. Tier two of, Sadie, which, so it'll be a subscription model for the trade professionals, would be, that Sadie with, the ability to scan their space, and we have a tool to be able to scan your space and collect the dimensions, so that now the architect or
Mm-hmm.
GC has all the dimensions of the existing space for then
Mm-hmm.
being able to, create their designs. And then also the tool to be able to pull the design that the architect designs into, a 3D, interactive 3D VR environments. And when I say 3D VR, so we have it where it could be, you can walk through your home. It's interactive online, or you could use a headset if you want. People are
Mm-hmm.
still very resistant to putting the headset on, so we didn't want to, you know, only have it available in the headset. So you can also do it online. The only problem with that is it's not, you know, it's not it's you don't get the spatial awareness that you would in VR. So like the lady, the wife of this homeowner, they walked through the new kitchen designs, and they made that, like I said, they made a decision on the call that what design for. Like they were in loved it so much they could not believe how he just understood, this architect understood them and got them. Like they felt very heard, and they both were very, like, they didn't, neither one of them felt like that they were, sacrificing anything. As before, they're like, well, if you get to do this and I get to do this, this she was able to create a design that really made it work for both of them. And but the wife was a little bit hesitant about the dining space because she wasn't sure if the table is enough space for the table. So we just took a headset over, put it on for her to walk around it. And she said, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's fine." So it confirmed that decision for her. Of like that's the one little thing that she wasn't sure of before moving forward with that space, was that just being able to know if it felt tight in that, where the dining area was. And so as soon as she put the headset on and walked around it, she said, "Okay, it's good." So we were able to move forward.
So the architect does the design and then that gets into the headset and they can walk around the new design in their space and
Yes.
see what it looks like and how it interacts. It's interesting. That's really, really
Hmm.
cool. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That's yeah. So you're really a B to C to B kind of model. Your commercialization is B to C to B. And
It's
so it's
actually
really,
it's more B2B to see, because this will the trade professionals will use it with their homeowners. You
oh,
know what I
I
mean?
see.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they'll be the channel that will sell it to their homeowners. That's really
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll save a lot. Yeah. So that look, I was an old GC. I did like lots of home remodels for people, for investors and all these other people. And yeah, it's painful. That whole process up front and the whole process throughout the whole thing, because they're like, oh, well, I didn't think that that was going to be like that. And I'm like, but that's what you told us. It was really, it really, really is adding true value to that whole process. I mean, I've been there, done that. Like I did that for a long time. I was a GC, so I get it. And
Well,
so
and
that's
I
really, really cool.
yeah, I recently read a stat that said 30% of data gets lost by the end of the project.
Oh yeah.
So that's where, you know, we see value in collecting and organizing that data so that it's available, accessible all the way through the project. There's little risk for that data falling through the cracks, because that is, a lot of people will say, especially in this industry, that, oh, it's so fragmented because of supply chain issues or labor. And yes, that is a factor, but it's not the main reason. Like data shows that 70% of cost redesign work and cost overrun is due to miscommunication and poor project data.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what we're solving.
It's the reason why I didn't do residential. Like there's a reason why that general contractors will prefer to do commercial, because commercial is more structured. It's you have a blueprint, you have this, you have your scope of work, everything's outlined, you have a contract, you have all of that. And so people will prefer that because it's more structured. And if there's a change order, there's a complete process around how the
Mhm,
change order, what gets approved, who does it, who proved it, and everybody gets paid and we'll all go on with our lives, right? Well, that doesn't
mhm,
exist in residential. So you're kind of creating the structure and
mhm.
and all that. So it's really, really,
Yeah.
some people love that environment and they love working with the homeowners and they love being creative and they love all of that. It does cause a lot of headaches. My uncle's one of them. He's been a home builder for 100 years and he lives in that environment and he builds these $1 million homes for people. And I'm like going, God bless you, because I can never do that. I just like couldn't. I was like, these people drive me nuts. They change their minds all the time. And they're like, well, I didn't thought that was gonna look like that. That's what you picked. I told you, you picked it. Like I can't change. You want me to change it? Well, I don't really don't like it. I'm like, what do you want me to do? You picked it. Right. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, so I can charge you $5,000. You're gonna get over it. Like, but
Yeah.
what do you want me to do? But yeah, I,
Yeah.
I remember that, right? And so yeah, for sure. So that's cool that you're saving all that heartache and headache all those great things, and why contractors quit because homeowners are crazy.
Yeah. I had a designer tell me when I was doing the interviews for the NSF grant. She said, "Oh, but I love like because we've always said that part of our platform was is we're gonna have that education piece because when I said we were researching what are the common barriers between the professionals and the homeowners, and so when I had the interview, my question would be, what are the top three common barriers when you're working with architect or designer, or then vice versa. So what are your top three barriers if it's the professional working with the homeowner? And the top two was this what the majority of the answers were the same on both sides, which was homeowner would say being able to visualize and understand my designs and um, understanding what the process is, and like it's a lot of times it's their first time renovating, they don't really know what to expect. And then of course the trade professionals, their top two barriers was helping homeowners understand what their designs look like and educating them on the process. And so that those two things have been our the two top barriers to solve. From the beginning, we started on the visualization side of it, especially like I said in the VR, and there's a lot of technology out there doing that. And so I've been, we obviously are not here to recreate the wheel, but to help create us help homeowners have more access to this technology that's out there, to be able to so it's really more about instead of us recreating it, take the technology that exists and create a platform for homeowners that allows them to have access to the technology in a user-friendly
Right.
way, and give them the necessary transparency they need to make those decisions. And so our pivot has been really to start on the education piece, and like I said before, it's like collecting that data and educating them in the process. And then that will be able to then used to then create the VR piece that or the collaborative web piece that portal that we're also creating for them. So
That's awesome. So talk about your journey as a founder, like all the fun things that we go through as a startup
mhm,
founder. I mean, it's your mom, right? You said you're a
mhm,
mom,
mhm.
right? And so let's talk about like founder lives.
Okay.
I think I put a post out there the other day, and like all startup founders are insane. Most people think we're insane. Like we're not, that we're a different breed. We think differently. We're willing to take
Mhm,
more risks. And that is true. But we're not single dudes. We're mothers. We're like, have responsibilities, but we're still doing this too, right? Like
mhm.
I'm a single mom, and I'm a startup
Yeah.
founder. And so everybody, my sister, my family are like, who are you? What planet are you from? Right. And so
Mhm.
let's talk about some of those challenges. What do you,
Yeah.
it's a roller coaster. So, what's your
Yeah.
what's your what's your biggest challenge for sure? What's that like for you? As being a mom,
Uh,
being a founder, being trying to balance everything.
I would say the biggest challenge, well, it's the biggest challenge, but it's what I prioritize the most, and that's self-care. Um,
Yep.
I have a little bit of background of my entrepreneur journey. I was very fortunate at a very young age to jump right into the startup world. My dad's best friend, I think I mentioned this to you before, started um, a tech company in the 80s that grew to
Hmm.
be in my little town of 2,000 people in Coates, North Carolina. And it grew to be a Fortune 500 company, and it's been sold and recently built another one. And to the point, like I think the latest buyout was by Boeing, maybe some huge company. So it was started out as this little startup in my hometown to, being a huge company. And so being part of that family, I was working as an administrative assistant or helping with conferences, things like that. And I love that startup world. I love the community aspect of it, and have my entire career have been able to work with startups. So it's been primarily me helping support site uh, companies. I have had a few ideas over the years, but um, and I pursued a nonprofit, launched a nonprofit. So I would say is the first thing I did, on my own, well, with a couple of partners. But everything else was someone else's idea that I helped, take to market.
Mhm.
And I've done that my entire life. So then over the last, I don't know how many years, people have said to me, when are you going to start your own thing? Because I'm always helping other
Mhm.
founders start theirs. And I've always said that it's just not the right time for me yet. Like I'm, especially, when I was in my mid 20s, was super ambitious and ready to, start something that's going to change the world. But then
Yep.
I got pregnant, and I'd always said, that's okay. My husband can, I'd always said, so I'd always told my husband, like, I love working. I'm always going to work. Like, I'm not going to be, you know, I doubt I'll be the type that's going to want to stay at home. Like, I'm going to always want to work. And then when I got pregnant, it changed. It says, you know what? I want to be with, I want that. I want being a mom being my priority. Like, I don't want,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
had less
yeah.
interest in starting a business, but then, like I said, I love working. So of course I was still consulting in with people, like, um, being a mom. And then after getting a handle of being a mom, I thought, okay, I could do this, and I can start a company too. So I had an opportunity to. I was offered a very big project that could have launched a company for me. But the day before, this was after my second child was born. He was 6 months old. The day before they called to tell me I got the project, I was diagnosed with cancer. And so they had said, that project was going to take the next 3 months. And, my cancer diagnosis, the doctor said the next 3 months you're going to be in treatment. It's going to be hell for you. So I was like, I had to turn down the job. So it wasn't my time. But I obviously got through it. And when you're talking about how people will say to you, like, with being a single mom and a founder, like like the craziness of how all that sounds, going through cancer was, as terrible as it was, I'm so grateful for that experience because it really helped me realize just how strong and resilient I am. And I got through it. At the end of it, I was in really bad shape, both mentally and physically. And I said
Mhm.
one day, like, I can't let this be my life. Like, I've got to do something about this. So, and it was more because physically I was uh, really drained. And so I'd gone through radiation, and I told the doctor gave me like the go ahead to like start working out, do whatever to feel better. I was like, hey, great, I'm going to run a half marathon. And he's like, are you out of your mind? He's like, you
Exactly.
just went through radiation. And I couldn't even run a mile when I told him that. Like, I'm not a runner. So I was just like, it's always been a goal of mine. And you go through something like that, you're going to, another thing I want to do is go take my family to Africa. So I did both of those. I ran a half marathon. I trained
Awesome.
in less than 2 months. And my doctor even said, there's no way you're going to be able to run it. You could probably walk it, but I ran the whole thing. I ran it, and I
Yay.
took my family to Africa for 3 months afterwards. And so that resilience, that persistence, that um, commitment, I think
Yeah.
is what it's all about. Being a
Yeah.
founder, and it's without going through my journey since then. The whole story. It was when we moved here 8 years ago from Nashville, Tennessee to here, Austin. I took some time off. I took the year off to because I still wasn't in the best health. I had some stressful situation back in Nashville, and so and we always said we wouldn't move to Texas because it's where my husband's from. We have a lot of family here, and so we
Mhm.
moved here. And I took the first year to just get the family transition. I didn't work much. When I say I didn't work, I I didn't work full time. I'm always working. I cannot work. And went through our own home renovation, which is what sparked this. We had a terrible, terrible situation that put my family in danger, which is why my husband and I ended up renovating most of it ourselves for the next 5 years. And it was during that is when I came up with. I also started working right before the pandemic. I was helping a startup in California, a design build startup, um, take their product to market. And it was my experience working with them and really understanding the pains from the trade professional side, um, paired with, you know,
Yeah.
what I had gone through as a homeowner is when I found that like that what it was that I wanted to do. Like this was the first time I had an idea that I said, this has to happen and I'm supposed to be the one to make this happen. And so that was about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
when I had told myself that. And 6 months later, I committed to it. I closed all my
Yep.
contracts down and said, all right, I'm
Hmm.
doing this. And I've been doing it for 2.5 years. And so that's my journey as a founder.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, resilience is one of the, I mean, you have to be. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, right? I'm third generation. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My dad and mom were, it's kind of in our blood, and we are definitely a different breed. But yeah, resilience is one thing for sure. And girlfriend, proud on you, man, for surviving cancer. I like,
Thank you.
it's tough, and it's tough to the I've had a cancer scares. I've never gone through cancer, but I've had cancer scares, and it's totally scary. It's completely
Hmm.
scary. You don't know if you're going to be there for your family, and that whole emotional roller coaster, I guess,
Hmm.
prepared you for startup world, because it's a whole
Yes.
different roller coaster. But
Yes.
it's
I mean, I don't know what's harder, really. Yes. The startup world might be. I mean, I have 3 children. I've gone through cancer, but I mean, I wasn't prepared for this. As I don't feel like, I mean, you can never be prepared for something new like
yeah,
startup world, but it's
yeah.
I would have to say it's one of the toughest things I've done for sure is
Oh yeah.
starting a
It
company.
Yeah, it takes you to your breaking point. Like there's
Hmm.
the whole am I good enough for this? I mean, I go through
Hmm.
all that. Like, you feel like you're an imposter. You like, why do you think you can do this? Like who gave you the idea? And like why are you so cool? And you
Yeah.
doubt yourself. You have all of that stuff.
Hmm.
You go through all of that. And then you're just like, you know what? And I so you're still married, so that's fine. But anytime I hear those negative voices in my head, I just picture my ex-husband, and then I
Hmm.
physically just punch it like that. And I'm like, I don't have time for you to doubt me. Like I don't, you
Yeah.
can't, and you can't, but you go through it, and it's legitimate, and you just kind of let it go its merry way. Well, I punched my ex-husband in the face virtually, but and then I just, you just do whatever that is, and you have to, because I mean, it is those things. And it's tough. I mean, you don't have money, you're like constantly scrambling, you're trying to be creative, you're like, I've got my stupid laptop's broken. I wasn't planning on that. And I gotta like figure out what the hell I'm gonna do about that. And just like constantly,
Hmm.
it bombards you. And so it's
Yeah.
definitely not for the faint of heart. We are a very different breed, very
Well, and
different breed.
I'm very fortunate. You know what? I don't know if I could do this if I didn't have my husband and my family and my team, that my advisors, friends, people that are constantly lifting me
Yeah.
up and supporting me. I'm really, really fortunate to have so many amazing people encouraging me every day to
Yeah.
um, keep going. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you have to have those. They're your unofficial co-founders. I mean, truly, they
Hmm.
are. Your family
Hmm.
is. Everybody is telling you, like, my CTO, everybody's like, Amy, this is the great idea. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's true. You have to have those people, because you do. You don't,
Yeah.
things get hard. And if you didn't have that support system of, like, my family and the help with my little guy and my other kids and all this other stuff, I mean, if you didn't have it, you wouldn't keep going. So it's very,
Yeah.
very, very true. I mean, you can take your, I mean, we're both resilient, and you can take yourself so far, and you can take yourself so far, and then it weighs on you, and it's always good to have somebody come along and go, it's still a good idea. Keep going, girlfriend. I know it
Mhm.
sucks, and you've got you feel like there's miles and miles ahead of you. I mean, you ran a half marathon, so you get that. Feel like there's miles and miles ahead of you, but everything hurts in your body. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't run because my knees don't like me when I run. So,
Mm.
I would row, and I can remember
Mm.
being in those races, and you're halfway through the race, and everything hits you, and it's like I don't know how I'm actually moving my arms at this moment. Like you just like you don't like it, you hit the wall, and you're just like keep
Mhm.
going. And you got like seven
Yeah.
other people on that boat with you, and you're like, okay, I don't know how I'm doing this, but the angels are moving my arms. My legs.
Yes, that
I don't know,
that's
I don't know how I'm doing this. Yeah.
that oh gosh, yes, that is exactly how I feel often on this journey. So I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. So what do you see as I mean, obviously you're still in development. You're still kind of going through it.
Mhm.
Do you have like major milestones ahead of you? Like do you think you're gonna like be able to launch? When do you think you're gonna be able to launch for consumption,
Well,
regular consumption?
we are currently, so I have three co-founders. One is our CTO. He's primarily the one building Sadie, but he's also, senior software developer or not, architect, um, uh, cloud architect at Microsoft, and he's getting his master's in AI at UT. So he is, and he has a family. So his time is very limited, but because we had hoped to raise some money, but again, we've not really pursued it very haven't been,
Yeah,
really pursuing that much, just because we want to make sure that what we know what we're develop like what we need to develop at like
yeah,
the stages of the more of that development plan fleshed out a little bit more. And so he's right now developing it. We should have first version is done, but there's a few things he's working on to be able to then start putting it in front of the different trade professionals. To that we
hmm,
have several trade professionals that have said that they would love to like try it out and give us feedback. So that should be ready in the next few weeks to start putting out there to our network. And so if you know of anyone that would be interested in testing it out and providing feedback, whether it's just them going through it themselves or trying it with a homeowner, that should be ready in the next few weeks. But to really have it ready to um, put out there, like and really out there in the market, that homeowners or that the um, trade professional can white label and put, on their website, we would have to raise money and hire some developers to help get it ready for that, because that's a much bigger technical lift at this point. So yeah, so
yeah,
that's where we're at right now. We are now actively raising money. Just started uh, having like the serious conversations last week, and so we have a couple potential, which is one I'm try not to hold my breath on. She's if I told like I had told my partner that one of my partners is my CMO. She's also, we call her the chronic renovator, because she's gone through so many herself. Like she's renovated historical homes. In fact, her house now is 230 years old, that they renovated to
wow,
this modern. It's stunning. It's so amazing. So I told her, I said, okay, my ideal investor would be someone who understands this pain, not only from a homeowner's perspective, but the professionals,
hmm,
understands tech enough to be able to see the big vision of where we're going with this,
yeah,
and very passionate about it. And then it would be ideal to have a female investor as our lead investor. Well, she's all that. So she's really excited. She was someone early on in the Uber day, working at Uber in the early days, and brilliant,
hmm,
and knows, like when we met with her, she was asking all the right questions where we knew she knew. She's done her own research and she knows what we're doing. And so we have a follow-up meeting with her um, to talk about what she doesn't want, and as someone that wants to not just invest, but really wants to be a part of that wants to grow with us. And so we're talking to her next week.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, definitely need to get you on Chip and Joanna's show. I think that would be awesome for you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I know some folks, so yeah, I'll hook you up with them.
Yeah. So we're raising
There's
an
a
angel round. Yeah.
yeah, there's a group in Austin that that focuses on female founders, so I'll get you with them.
There's a
Yeah,
so here's a little bit about kind of our investment journey. I mean, there are a lot. I've talked to a lot of investors over the last I would say about, oh gosh, I don't know, close to 50 now over the last few months. And it's been really tough for us because we're, well, female founded. Less than 2% of
mm,
female founders get invested. But two, we're pre-revenue. And so a
mm,
lot of these,
I know.
they say they're early stage pre-seed, but they still are no, because you haven't generated revenue. So that's why we are going for angel investors right now, versus venture, to, for with um, post money safe notes. So
Yeah,
anybody that'd be interested, that's what we're raising, and that should get us to where we need to be over the next 3 months to be able to then go after a seed round for beta to do that go to market, um,
yeah.
build. Yeah. So,
No, no, I get it. I'm in the same boat, right? I've been bootstrapping the whole time. So, convertible notes, safe notes, for me, it's, I'm going to let the first investor kind of decide the instrument they want to go into, right? I mean,
mhm.
you're really beholden to whatever the money that comes in, what they want to do, which
Yeah.
I'm fine with. I mean, as long as I'm good with, well, that's what attorneys are for. They keep you in the straight and narrow and make sure you don't get too crazy.
And if you
But
find the right investor too, I think for us,
yeah,
it just depends. It's, and we're not in a huge rush just because, well, we are, because we want to get this product. I want to be able to be done with it so that I can get stuff done. Like,
no,
I want
I
to focus
know.
on the
I
product.
know.
Like, that's the thing that's like,
I
okay, can
know.
we just get this taken care of so I could just focus on Sadie? And but anyway, but at the same time, we're not going to rush it. We want to make sure that who we bring on is the right fit for our company.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I know. But half your job is raising capital. Like, you're a
I
CEO, and
know,
it
I
just is
know,
what it is. I mean,
I
and
know.
that's okay. But I think, but have the right approach about it, right? So most people have a hard, I mean, I was in private equity for 12 years. Like, all I did was chase money. That's all I did for real estate deals. I did it all the time. So what I found was, you don't raise you are constantly always raising, but it's really not, you're always raising, you're always building relationships with people, so that when you go do raise, it's no big deal for you, because you've built relationships over time, and you have to spend a good part of
Hmm.
your time networking with people, networking family offices, networking with VCs, networking with all these people, even though you might not have a deal, or you might not be
Yeah.
raising capital, but you're like, hey, this is what we're building, and then they'll get interested, and then they'll want to, whatever. But it's all
Hmm.
about relationship building, and that's the
Yeah.
hardest part that most people miss. It's like,
Hmm.
I'm not technically raising capital, but I do want to know you. I mean, because eventually I will raise capital, right? And so I
Yeah.
want to build a relationship now, and nobody is opposed to that. Nobody in
Yeah.
the family office money side game is opposed to that. They
Yeah.
really want to get in early with you to see what you were doing. They want insight, because they're always chasing deals. They'll always have a mandate.
Hmm.
Somebody's going to come give them a pile of money, and they're going to want to be like, where can I stick it? And they're going to need to
Hmm.
know. And if they don't know about you yet, then they won't. So that, it's a lot of work to do, though. Like, it's
Hmm.
you're focusing on your product, you're building this, you're building out your team, you're being a mom, you're doing all this stuff, and you have to go build relationships with a bunch of people who have money. I mean, that's not easy what we do. you know
Hmm.
it's not, it's like crazy town. But
Yeah.
I don't think I would do it any other way. But building those relationships for sure is kind of, is key. And then when you do finally go raise, it'll be easy for you, because you'll be like, hey, oh yeah, I remember talking to these people, and let me go talk to them
Hmm.
again and see if they're interested now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that they know you and they like you and all those great things, they won't invest with you unless they know you and like you. It's so true. And if you
Yeah.
can't, and if they don't, they can't like you unless they know you. So they got to know you first, and then they got to like you, and then they got to trust you, and then they'll give you money. So you got to build
Hmm.
that over time. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing for sure. I got off on a little. I squirreled. See, I squirrel. I told you I was going to squirrel. I do that like all the time. I squirrel. But yeah, no, but I feel you. So yeah, for you, so you're about to raise money, which is really really cool. Your product, you're trying to get your product off the ground, which was awesome. And it is so cool. And not only is your product going to work for, I mean, it's for your specific solution, but the product you're creating could do lots of different things, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have building out, taking a design, putting it in a VR environment, right? So that, I mean, not just for homeowners. I mean, I could see it has use applications in office remodels and like
Yeah.
how do we build this space out, or like how do we maximize the use of any space, whether it's a home,
Hmm.
whether it's anything, because people
Yeah.
can't see. I was a GC, so I had the luxury of learning how to look at a 2D drawing and seeing how it's going to work in a space, right?
Hmm.
But that's a skill that takes
Yeah.
time, and the
Hmm.
layperson doesn't do that. I mean, it took me
Mm-mm.
years to be
Mm-mm.
able to do that, right? So
Yeah.
if you're going to encounter this in one time or maybe a couple times in your life, having that, right, to be able to go, oh, is you drawing me sticking? Oh, that's what's going to look like. Oh, that's groovy.
Hmm.
That's really what you're building, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
you're solving it for a homeowner renovation, but you're building the taking a 2D and let me see what it's gonna how my environment's gonna be. Right?
Yeah.
That's really cool tech. That's
Yeah.
really cool tech.
And allowing you to, I mean, there's people already doing that, right? There's a lot of the bigger firms are offering that. I mean, even with AR technology, you can now see certain products in your home. What it doesn't do, what you don't see out there is that collaborative space that pulls all the data into one experience for all the different stakeholders to
Ah,
collaborate in one space. And so
yes.
that's where we're bringing all this data. We're creating this, I guess, hub of a platform to be able to pull in all the different existing technology into one place and make it really comprehensive for all stakeholders, from the homeowners, which are the users, as well as the trade professionals. Um, so that's where really what's different from what we're doing than what you see out there as far as the immersive visualization of it. We're also bringing in, you know, all the different players into one place. Even with products, like for example, if you go to IKEA, they have an experience where you could, select their products and design a space in VR, but then it doesn't allow you, it's just IKEA products. It doesn't allow you to see what does, my um Gen Air refrigerator look with this, or in this,
Yeah.
does it fit in this around these cabinets, or like just allows with ours, you're able to pull different products from different vendors into one collaborative space and explore that,
Yeah.
versus it just being one vendor. So that's another advantage to what we're building.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you're making it real life. Yeah. Now I get it.
Mhm.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, this has been such a cool conversation, girlfriend. And you thought we
Yes,
weren't
it
going to talk
has.
very long. Look at that. You did so good. All right.
Well, thank
So if
you.
there's somebody out there, I'm going to pretend to be a podcast host for a second. So if there's anybody out there that would like to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? What do they do?
They can email me at mwood@formustech.com. Formus is Formus. Is
Very
the
cool.
best way. They can also find me on LinkedIn, but
Yep.
email's the best.
Email's the best. I hear you. I
Mhm.
hear you there. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you
Thank you
so much
so
for
much, Amy. Yeah.
coming on my show and
Yeah.
dealing with my technical issues. I run a tech company and my laptop doesn't work. It's so special. But this is cool. All right, awesome.
Yeah, it's been
Well,
awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
uh, all right, no worries. And let me see if I can figure out how to stop the recording on my phone because I don't know how to do that currently. Oh, there it is. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye.